Quasi here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can consciously create your reality through just choosing whatever it is you want. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that I'm doing a free giveaway of my book, Life Mastery. If you want to enroll into a competition to win this book for completely free, just comment Life Mastery down below. And every Friday, we announce a winner to get this book for free in the ebook format. So wait till the end of the week. So today's Thursday. Wait tomorrow and watch out for the community post for the winner of last week's free copy of Life Mastery. Also, the Reality Mastery free one-to-one consult only has limited spots now since we're filling up very quickly. So if you want to know how to get your free one-to-one consult to work with me, wait till the end of the video for the announcement on that. So with that, let's get started with this video. Now, in this video, I want to talk to you about conscious creation and how consciousness is the only key that unlocks the door to enlightenment or even reality creation in general. So in the yogic arts, how this universe and how existence or yogic science, how existence came to be was in 5 forms. Initially, there was nothingness. So if you look at the Big Bang in science now, that could be termed as nothingness. It was just, there was nothing. How God said in the Bible that He made something out of nothing. First there was nothing and then came something. So it's just unmanifest. The process of creation is unmanifest energy becoming manifest. 95% of all of this universe is dark matter, dark energy, aka unmanifest energy. So in the yogic sciences, how life evolved and came to be was initially there was nothingness. And then nothingness evolved into awareness. Awareness evolved into energy. Energy evolved into the mind. And then the mind evolved into the body. And this is the cycle that keeps playing itself over and over again. When the body goes away, it becomes nothingness, and then it just comes again and again. And this is how this manifestation process comes about. It comes from nothing, or it comes from your thought energy. We eventually return to the source. Now, with that said, you might be wondering, well, how does this relate to, reality creation? And to be honest, consciousness is that awareness part. If you have awareness and increasing awareness, you can tap into a very high level to consciously create whatever it is that you want in your life. Now, most of the time, people start to not become creators of their reality because they get too closely identified with something. The more and more identified you are with something, the less you are able to, see it for what it is. So what does that mean? Well, sometimes if you think about even the process of life, if you start to see it as a game, and you merely a player in the game, then, there is this separation between you and the game. You're not the game. You're not just your reality. Like nothing affects how you feel within. Your external events aren't affecting your internal state because you are creating this external reality through how you feel within. Once you start to realize that, powerful shifts start to happen within you because now you're getting less and less identified with everything around you. Once you're identified with something, then that thing controls you. Once you're identified with the game to the extent to which you think you are the game, then the game starts to control you. Every single event in the game starts to determine how you feel within, and you become really attached to this compulsive cycle that keeps playing itself over and over again. And that's why some people get attached to the highs and lows of life because you're getting too attached and you can't detach from it when the lows are there. Attach yourself when the highs are there and detach yourself when the lows are there. And that's the essence of reality creation. So most people, the biggest mistake they make is that they forget that this is a player and then there is a game. I'm just a player in the game. I'm not the game itself. If you think about playing any sort of video game, you didn't care much what happened in the video game, right? Because you knew that, this is just a game. And it's almost like waking up in a dream. You didn't care what was happening in the dream because you're like, this is just a dream. So now I can do whatever I want. This is the state we want to get to with our consciousness. Do you see what's going on? When you lucid dream, you're able to control the events that happen in a dream. Once you get more and more lucid in reality to the point which you consider, when you tap into that ultimate consciousness, you begin to control the events in reality. It's almost crazy how this works, and it may not seem like you're directly influencing it, But more and more, as you start to practice these principles, like when I started practicing transurfing at first, I thought it was absolute bullshit. I thought, oh, this stuff doesn't work. I was very skeptical about the law of attraction and everything, but I wanted to give it a try. And the more I tried it out, the more impressed I got. And the more impressed I got, the more I wanted to do it. So as I kept practicing these principles over and over again and worked on increasing my consciousness every single day, life just started getting more and more pleasant and turned out the way that I wanted it. Now, it didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it, but the general wind was in that direction. And really, what's the difference if you're making $1 million or $999,000, right? So that's the state we want to get to, that the general winds blow our way. So in understanding that, first of all, understand that there is a player and there is a game. You are just a player in the game. This is all about regaining your consciousness and regaining your power as the conscious creator of your reality. Next, what you must understand is most people become too identified with something. Seriously, this is the biggest killer. This is the general concept of karma. What karma is the bondage that binds your spiritual, energetic or pranic self to this physical body. Karma is that little tie. It's the bondage. It's the only thing that's binding you to this physical reality. Or else your body and your spiritual self wouldn't be one. They would just be separated and you would be going back to the source from which you came. Like the ultimate goal of life is not to, become this individual being, but rather get to oneness with the source, the very source from which you originated. That is the ultimate goal of every single spiritual teacher, every yogi, any, Buddhist monk you meet. That is the ultimate goal of life. Now, there are different ways to getting to that ultimate goal. Some people go vegetarian, or some people become ascetic. Some people go the route of eating lots of meat. It's crazy. There's a lot of yogis out there who've attained realization through many different unconventional methods. But the general principle is the same. And, we don't want to get into that in this video because I want to teach you how to create your reality. If you just achieve all of your deepest desires in this lifetime, then you will be able to break free from karma. That's why I teach all of this stuff in this channel. Because if your desires are fulfilled, then, naturally you ask what's next. And you begin that search within you anyways. But in order to get to that point, your desires need to be fulfilled. So that's why I do what I do. And I also work on fulfilling my desires every single day. So with that being said, being too identified with any sort of, external thing, even your own characteristics. Like some people, when I teach identity shifting in my reality mastery program and becoming this version of yourself, people become too identified with the characteristics that they have. Remember that your characteristics are not you. You are not your characteristics. You have characteristics. So what you call as mine right now, what's happening at an energetic level when you're saying, that's mine, this is mine, it's just becoming an extension of yourself. If you really think about Voldemort from Harry Potter, it's essentially how he made himself immortal. And how he got progressively weaker and weaker as the Horcruxes were destroyed. He split his soul up into 7 and put it in 7 different objects, right? Or 8. And every time Harry Potter and his friends destroyed each of the Horcruxes, Voldemort got weaker and weaker. This is exactly what's happening with us when we identify with too many things and then they just don't go our way. It just destroys us a little bit more. So the state we want to get to is not becoming too identified with anything but the source. And you won't even know what the source is because the ultimate source really is nothingness. Like the goal of life is to just completely dissolve and become nothing. That is the ultimate realization. People think they want some sort of enlightenment or something, but enlightenment really means becoming nothing. The ultimate source from which it all began. So becoming too identified makes you more vulnerable. And becoming vulnerable actually makes you less vulnerable. It's weird. Once you just let yourself go and start to not identify with anything and realize the true nature of life, then nothing can stop you. There is nothing no ideology that can trigger you, or nothing that can happen externally that can literally change how you feel within. Because now you are fully in control of how you feel within. And once you're fully in control of how you feel within, then the external events turn out the way you dictate it. I hope that made sense. So the biggest problem I see with people is identifying with their characteristics and also their emotions. They're like, okay, well, Quasi is this, and I went through this myself. Oh, well, Quasi is this, Quasi is that. This version of Quasi, the 2.0 version of Quasi, wakes up at 5 and, takes a cold shower and does yoga, blah, blah, blah. I get too attached to this version of myself. I'm now becoming identified with this. Because remember, you're not your characteristics. This is just the version of myself I'm embodying at this moment in time. Do you see the subtle difference? I don't know who I am. I don't know what that source is because I've never fully experienced it. I've had glimpses of it, but I've never fully experienced it, so I don't know what it is. Once you put a definition of nothingness, like if I call myself the source, which is nothingness, and I put a definition and I try to define nothingness, well, I'm nothing. Once you even say the word nothing, it becomes a something. The nothing becomes a something. This is happening on very subtle levels, but if you really think about it, the nothing becomes a something and it's becoming an entity, so it's no longer nothing. Like, how can you even define nothing? You just can't. It's the absence of thing. So it's best to not try to define yourself or do anything. Just let it be, leave it alone. Once you remove all of these identifications, the true source will just shine through. There is no other way. Once you remove the clouds, then the sun will just shine forth. So with that being said, people also get too identified with the emotions that they feel to the extent to which they become these emotions. Like, oh, they get angry, they don't know what to do about it, they start resisting it, and then they just keep playing this anger over and over again. They feel sad, they feel anxiety, they just keep playing this over and over again. Once you get too identified with anything, you don't even see it anymore. It's controlling you. Once you begin to identify the emotion and observe it, then you become in control of it. Once you begin to observe the events in reality, then you slowly start to get into the realization that I'm not the game. I am a player in the game. And even then, you're not the player. The player is just a version of yourself. Your spiritual body is choosing right now, whether it be a conscious choice or an unconscious choice. Do you see what I mean? So this concept can get very, very complex, and I know I'm going all over the place right now, but what you just need to understand is that you're not your characteristics, you're not your emotions, you're not your car, you're not your house, you're not your bed, you're not your clothes. You just are. People try to place a definition on themselves, but once you try to define that which is infinite, you're making it finite. This was a big realization for me. Once you begin to define the infinite and you try to place a definition on the infinite, by the mere act of placing a definition, you're putting a boundary around it. You're saying the infinite is this and it's not that and it's not that, but it's just this. You're making it limited. So instead of doing that, begin to remove all of the falsities and all of the masks and start to see it for what it truly is. And begin to just observe and create whatever it is you would like to create from within. So as a very powerful exercise I'm going to share with you right now, what you want to do is get into complete awareness of everything. So what I do every single day to really detach from these emotions, from the thoughts that I have. Because once you have these thoughts and you don't know you're having thoughts, you're starting to react to them, the thoughts are controlling you. You're becoming identified with it. This is the biggest reason why people aren't able to coach themselves to a certain level is because they're not able to see their blind spots. Once you start to see yourself from a third-person view and your character from a third-person view, you're able to see the blind spots as well. So the exercise I'm going to share with you that's going to make you more and more conscious every single day. And by the way, this is extremely, extremely potent. And I've been using it for the past, I would say 6 months. And my life has just changed every single day that I've been doing this. So make sure you're doing this exercise every single day, almost I would say every minute of every single day if possible. So essentially what this exercise is step 1, you become aware of all the thoughts that are going in your head. So in your day-to-day living, you become more and more aware of every single thought that's going in your head. This allows you to become less identified with the mind. Once you become aware of the mind, you start to realize I am not the mind, but rather I have a mind. This isn't me. This is just something that I have. I'm not my clothes. I have clothes. Once you start to, become aware of the clothes, aware of your reality, you start to become less and less identified with the reality or with the game. Once you start to become aware of everything around you, you start to get less and less identified with it. And as a result of becoming less and less identified with it, it doesn't determine how you feel within, but rather you get to dictate how you feel within, and with that, create reality externally. As within, so without. Not as without, so within. So step 1, become increasingly aware of your thoughts every single day. If possible, just sit down 10 minutes every single day and just observe the thoughts that go on in your head. As you keep doing this, but also remember that that's not enough. You can't just sit down in a quick meditation 10 minutes a day and just observe your thoughts and say, okay, that's it, I'm done. But rather in your daily life, keep observing your thoughts as you move on throughout the day. What's going on in this mind? Take a mental check, like what's going on in your head? What thoughts are you thinking about predominantly? Because if you can just redirect your thoughts, then your reality starts to shift as well. Because we know that these thought forms that we're having, the predominant thoughts, are actually shaping our reality, because thought actually has energy to influence reality around us. The second thing you want to do is become aware of your body and your feeling. Now, these thoughts and the feelings that we get are correlated. Whatever thoughts we get, it's kind of like going through a knot. When it goes through a rough patch, it evokes a feeling. Boom. And you'll see that your body will start to react to it. So feelings are just a bodily reaction to your thoughts. So become very, very aware of your feelings as well as you go through day-to-day life. Even if it's just before making a decision, how you feel. After making a decision, how you feel. Before doing something, how do you feel? After doing something, how do you feel? Become more and more aware of your body. Even just becoming aware of where you are stepping right now. Just increase your consciousness in that manner. Every single day, work on becoming a little bit more conscious. Now, I don't share a lot of videos about consciousness, but if I were to share a video on consciousness, it would be this, because this is extremely powerful. Consciousness is the only thing that helps you gain freedom. What we want to do at the end of the day with all of our desires is just gain freedom. People want financial freedom. People want, relationship freedom. People want emotional freedom. We just all want freedom. We want to be free because our desires are infinite, but we're chasing it in the finite realm. You see what's going on? Like, the more and more you think that, this is it. This, life is mortal. Once you realize that this life is mortal, it's natural that you start seeking things beyond this life. You start seeking that which is infinite anyways. And anyways, your biology's made to just satisfy your biological urges. But there's always going to be that spiritual urge that thirsts for the infinite. And you're just trying to satisfy this spiritual urge by $1 million, $1,000,001, $1,000,002, $1,000,003, $1,000,004, which is finite at the end of the day, right? So with that being said, if you just work on increasing your consciousness, start to detach more and more from the current state of being and become aware of the current state of being, you'll realize that you can create the next moment through how you feel within, with your thoughts. This is all about conscious creation. Seriously, this is absolutely dangerous. If you start to apply this in your life and just become more and more, a little bit more conscious of every single thing that you do every single day, start identifying with the things that you shouldn't be identifying with in the first place, because they're actually taking you off your route to creating your reality, then you'll see your life will profoundly change. It's all about just removing the false barriers that we've created for ourselves. So with that, I conclude this video. And just to recap this video, the biggest problem is people start to forget the difference between the player and the game, and even the player and the actual thing that controls the player. It's crazy. And the biggest other thing is people become too identified with everything. What they call as mine, they become identified with. The objects, the watch that they wear, the feelings that they have, the emotions that they have. This is me, this is me. I'm Quasi's this, Quasi's that. And when someone says something, they become too triggered. And because we're too identified with anything around us. Like, oh, this is me, I stand up for these values and these morals. Try getting your beliefs challenged for a while and see how you feel. That is freedom. Getting your beliefs challenged and just staying there and taking it. And going through that, like, wow, that is going to slowly start to mold you in a way that you become less and less identified with anything. The less identified you become, the more towards freedom you go, the more of a creator of your reality you become. The biggest thing I've also seen in my personal life, and that was invisible to me, was being too identified with the emotions that I'm feeling. Sometimes I just don't even notice these emotions and these feelings that come up. I just try to stuff them away by watching TV or eating food. It's absolutely crazy. So become more and more observant of all of these things. And the exercise that's going to help you get to more and more consciousness every single day is, first of all, becoming aware of your thoughts. What's going on up here? Every single minute, every half an hour, every hour, whatever it is, do a mental check. See what thoughts are going around. What thoughts are swirling around in that mind? Number 2, see how your body is feeling and how your body is reacting to these thoughts and everything that's going on. No external thing can actually influence you internally. It is just you see the external thing and you start to think these thoughts, and then these thoughts produce a bodily reaction. So that's what the feeling is. See how your body feels as well. Once you become more and more aware of the mind, and once you become more and more aware of the body, then you become less and less identified with the mind, less and less identified with the body. And you start to fully realize that I'm not the mind. I'm not even the body. With that, I conclude this video, and I sincerely hope this helped, and I hope you will try this exercise out. Leave me a comment in the description below what you thought of this video. I don't make a lot of videos about consciousness and how your experience with consciousness has been. Like, what sort of exercises do you do to increase consciousness every single day? I'm curious to know. And also, I'm super excited to announce that I'm growing a massive Facebook group where I'll be sharing all of this kind of stuff, and we have a great community of great members. So if you want to take advantage of this, please make sure you click on the link in the description below to join. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I am super duper excited to announce that we only have 2 spots available for the Reality Mastery Program for the month of August. So if you want to work with me and, want to create your reality the way you actually would want it, to the very, very powerful principle of identity shifting, make sure you take advantage of this free one-to-one consult right now to see if we would be a good fit to work together. I've found that in my personal life, anything that I've ever manifested, I could get it systematically. Most people get one thing one day, but then the next day they're like, okay, how do I get the next thing and the next thing? And I was like that. Well, I got checks in the mail from the IRS. When's the next check coming? When's the next money coming? And I could never get the big results that I wanted in my life. It was always the little things. And I saw that was because I was focusing on the techniques that I could try. Like, what 55 times 5 can I try to get this temporary result? What can I try to get that temporary result? There was no striving for something greater, and there was no understanding of the fundamental principles behind it. And that's when I found out about identity shifting, and my life was never the same again. When I became the attractive version of myself, I saw that the dream partner that I'd visualized years and years coming into my life, she came into my life effortlessly. When I worked on, getting financial freedom, earning the income that I wanted, and even quitting my 9-to-5, I worked on becoming the entrepreneur version of Quasi and embodying those characteristics every single day and aligning this whole system into place. It's not just about acting as if, but aligning this whole system into place. And boom, within 3 to 4 months, I started earning more money from doing what I love than from the full-time engineering job that was draining me. It was crazy how this worked out. I never thought this was possible. I even put down a goal of mine in that board over there to get to this point. And it's happening every single day. And I want this possible for you as well. And I know this is possible for you as well because I'm helping my clients do this in their lives every single day. So if you'd like to work with me one-to-one to see if we could even help you get to that point using this system, please make sure you schedule your free one-to-one consult down below. And I hope I see you there. Until next time. Peace.